Hi, in this video I'm going to teach you how to fish for absolute beginners. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the type of fishing that I recommend getting into first is bluegill/panfish fishing. So all you need to do your bluegill/panfish fishing is a very light rod and reel setup with a pencil style bobber and maybe even a little lead weight to get it down there, and then a tiny little hook right there with your average everyday night crawlers. Another reason I recommend getting into bluegill fishing as your first type of fish to catch is because they're extremely easy to catch. For one, you can basically catch them in any backyard pond, any farm pond, any lake. You can catch them super easily, and they do put up a pretty good fight, and that's why I love catching bluegill. So one of the most important things is to tie a good knot. And if you can see, there's a little hole in the hook. What I want to do is just feed my line through that hole, just like that. And then I want to grab probably about 3 to 4 inches. And then once I do that, I have this. I want to loop this line right here under this line, and then I just want to wrap it around about 5 to 7 times. But since we're fishing for bluegill, we're going to do 5 times. 5. Okay, and then the next part is you have your loose line, and when you do that, you create a tiny little loop down there, you guys can see. So then what you want to do is just feed that line through that loop. If I can get it. Almost got it. Like this. And then you want to lubricate your line before you do it. So you want to spit on it. And then pull it tight from the hook. At least it should pull tight from the hook. And you'll have a nice little knot right there. And then you also want to cut off the excess piece of line. You don't want to cut directly down to it because it could interfere with the knot strength. So I just want to cut probably about 2 millimeters off of that knot. And you should be left with something that looks a lot like that. And now I'm going to teach you how to put the bobber on. So you have your piece of line, and what kind of bobber that I'm using is a pencil style bobber. As you can see, it kind of looks like a pencil, like that. So these are pretty straightforward. There's a spring that you push down on, and it reveals this little thing right there. And you put your line in the middle of that, just like this. So I got my spring pushed down. I can get it. And then, as you can see, that little notch right there is where my line's in. And then I just let the spring go. And then it's nice because you can easily adjust the depth. But for bluegill fishing, I like to do about 1 to 2 feet. Alright, so now that you have that all set up, I'm going to teach you how to apply your Nightcrawler to the hook. So if you're fishing heavily pressured, like public lakes, places that are fished a lot, you want to wrap your worm around the hook as much time as possible, because eventually after fishing with a Nightcrawler, the fish become accustomed to that and they figure out how to suck it off without getting hooked. And believe me, I've had that happen a lot of times. So I'm just going to wrap mine around as many times as I can. And this is also very easy for little kids to get into. Like my brother, he's 7 years old, and he actually caught a 1-pound bluegill on this method. So super easy, pretty inexpensive as well. Probably only cost around 60 bucks to get a nice rod and reel setup, and probably about another $10 to $15 to get all the other gear that you need. And right there is how I wrap my worm on this hook, and it's just a small eagle claw hook. So now I'm going to teach you how to cast your rod, your spinner reel out into the water. So let's Alright, so one of the most common types of reels is the spinner reel. The spinner reel is pretty straightforward, as you can see. All it does is to release the line, release the spool of the line, you open that up, and now you have a free spooling line. And that's how you cast it. And then here is your drag, so you can loosen it or tighten it. And you have your rod, and to put if you have didn't buy the setup to put your rod and reel on, you just loosen it up with this little turn thing, like that. Mine will not fall out right now because I have a zip tie on it. And then you just tighten it back up, and that's how you put a reel on your rod. Alright, so to cast your spinner reel is actually fairly simple. All you want to do is have around 2 to 4 feet of line outside of the last eyelet, and you want to open up your spinner reel bail so it's loose, and then pinch it right here with your finger, and then you just want to give the pole a little flick, and it's casted out there. Then, as you can see, when you catch a fish, you should see the bobber out there go down, and the bobber is right there. The bobber will go down when you get a bite. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below any question, and I'll respond. See you guys in the next one. Bye.